What is up, everybody? Welcome to Ecker Geopolitics. It's a big day, and we have more news. The Iran war continues. The oil wars are continuing with the prices completely crashing. And really, everything is becoming chaos because the Iran war, again, it rolls on, and Israel is continuing to settle Lebanon and West Gaza. And so all of this is happening. Also, Netanyahu is confirmed to be alive. And so supposedly this is the new story. So what do you guys think? And let's dive right into the news. We'll look at the markets first. We'll check out what's going on and what's some of the bigger news today. So let's take a look at the markets. So Bitcoin is pretty much right back where it was. And at the end of the day, it's pretty easy to tell that crypto is still looking good, though. All of the biggest moves are going towards crypto. And we're going to see that a lot in the news that we cover today. Larry Fink and BlackRock basically already made their announcements that everything's going to be an AI economy. The digital economy is coming. Bitcoin's at 70,000, Ethereum's at 2,153, XRP's at $1.42, Solana's at $91, Dogecoin's at 9 cents, and Cardano's at 26 cents, Monero's at $351, Chainlink is at $9, and XLM is at 16 cents, with World Liberty Financial still at 20th place on coin market cap. And it's pretty much, of course, a stable coin, so it's always going to be at 99 cents. So as we look at some of the biggest news since I last got back to the show, Larry Fink's 2026 annual chairman's letter to investors. So let's take a look. At a glance, in a period of significant uncertainty, a growing share of economic value is being created in the capital markets. That creates a powerful opportunity, but only for those investing in the long term. Growth is reaching too few people. Countries are investing more at home. Wealth has flowed to many asset owners, and AI could accelerate that trend, creating more value but concentrating it among those already invested. The opportunity is to broaden ownership, expanding long-term investing through retirement systems, early access, and modernized markets can help more people share in economic growth and build long-term financial security. So again, we're going to read this article a little bit. We're just going to look through really what's going on X, but we'll look through what Larry Fink had to say, and we'll cover that in just a moment. But again, I wanted to cover some of these headlines. Again, Bitcoin rebounds to 71,000 as oil drops after Trump signals pause on Iran strikes. We have Larry Fink, again, releasing this video today, basically telling us what's coming.
There's a common theme. I just published my annual letter. I write this letter.
He released this just a few hours ago.
Conversations with clients and leaders around the world. And lately, there's a common theme. People feel like the world is changing faster than they can process. Countries are investing more at home, and artificial intelligence is advancing at an extraordinary pace.
It definitely is.
And capital is
This is going to be the future for sure.
At the same time, enormous value is being...
Again, Jensen Huang, CEO of NVIDIA, he just stated, again, we're going to look at, we'll be seeing that clip. He just stated that essentially they have reached AGI. So that's very big news.
But not everyone feels connected to that growth. If more prosperity is being generated in markets, then more people need the opportunity to participate in them. That's what this letter is all about. Expanding long-term ownership through stronger retirement systems, earlier wealth building, and modernizing markets that make investing more accessible and more possible.
What are you guys investing in?
Long-term investing links your
I think crypto is obviously going to be the future.
When that connection is strong, economies are stronger too. At BlackRock, that's the work we focus on every day with our clients around the world. We enter 2026 with strong momentum, delivering record net inflows and reaching a new high of $14 trillion in assets under management in 2025.
$14 trillion. That's a lot of money.
Trusted us with nearly $700 billion of new assets. Those results reflect on the role we aim to play, helping clients navigate change and investing for the long term. And we believe BlackRock is well positioned for what comes next, at the intersection of the forces reshaping global finance.
Global finance, so central bank digital currency maybe?
From the expansion of the capital markets to the evolution of AI.
Okay, the evolution of AI, we know that that's going to be coming in 2026, 2027.
And the digital transformation of investing.
And again, more about cryptocurrency, it sounds like. Digital transformation of investing, that sounds like a nod to crypto. So that's good.
I remain a long-term optimist. Markets have always moved through periods of uncertainty. The question isn't whether change is coming, because it is. The question
Sure.
is whether more people will have a stake in what comes next. I hope you'll take a few minutes to read the letter, and I hope it sparks a conversation.
So again, yeah, we're going to read that letter in just a few minutes, but I just wanted to cover some of the bigger stories, some of the markets real quick. Again, gold is crashing, silver's crashing, but then it's coming back up. $4,456 is where gold is at. $70.40 is where silver is at. Platinum is $1,901.10, and palladium is at $1,464.20. And so again, gold is up, but really, just from today earlier, right? Gold really has crashed. It was over 5,000. I think it was over like 5,200 a couple weeks ago when we were looking at the market. So gold is going down these past couple weeks. What do you think's up with that? I think it obviously has a lot to do with the Iran war and all of these things that are happening. Trump says Iran has one more chance at peace talks as Tehran calls report of U.S. Talks fake news. So again, yeah, that never even happened. Donald Trump says the U.S.-Iran held talks on complete and total resolution to hostilities in the Middle East. Writing on social media, Trump says he postponed threatened strikes on Iran's power plants for 5 days. Oil and gas prices fall immediately. However, Iran's parliament speaker denies discussion had even taken place, saying fake news is being used to manipulate the oil markets. Speaking after his initial social media post, Trump says Iran has one more chance at peace. These head-spinning developments highlighted how fast-moving and unpredictable this war has become, our Washington correspondent writes. Meanwhile, strikes continue in Iran's capital Tehran and Beirut in Lebanon, where the health ministry says 1,039 people have been killed since the conflict started last month. So again, we'll be covering that article a little bit as well. But really, again, we wanted to talk about the oil markets. What's going on with the oil markets? Why did oil crash? And obviously, it's because the Strait of Hormuz is closed. The Strait of Hormuz is where all of that energy flow, or where all of that oil flows for the United States. We've taken a lot of money there. So when Trump made the statements that we were going to be leaving Iran, which would be great news for the economy, of course, the market reacted to that statement. But these are just statements. These aren't really the reality of what's going to happen, right? Crude oil is at $89 now, but I think crude will probably be over $200 a barrel if Trump persists in this war, which he is going to do. He's going to do it for Israel. It seems like most of Congress has total fealty to Israel, the state of Israel. So this war is going to be fought no matter what, and there's really just no way around it. So what did you guys think about that? What did you guys think about the biggest news and the algorithms? What did you guys think about all of it? But again, I wanted to cover some of the news here, but first we're going to cover, let's cover Larry Fink's, his investors letter to his audience. Growing with your country, thoughts for a long-term optimist. Every year I write this letter as a distillation of a year's worth of conversations with clients and employees, world leaders, CEOs, and people investing for their retirement. Lately, no matter who is speaking, they're saying the same thing. We're not sure how to navigate this moment. It's understandable. We are living through a period where things that would have been defined a decade ago have become routine. Wars with global repercussions, trillion-dollar companies, a fundamental reordering of international trade, and the advent of most significant technology since, at least, the computer. Absolutely, I totally agree with that. Too often, this gets filtered through the short-term lens. Daily market moves are treated as signals of lasting change, and complex economic or technological transitions are compressed into headlines. We live in a world where information moves instantly and reactions follow just as fast. At times, it can feel like a dopamine-driven, where constant input report short-term impulses. But speed can distort perspective, crowding out long-term thinking. To be fair, in financial markets, all this short-term activity suits a purpose. It's how the new information is absorbed, risks are priced, and capital is allocated. But over time, staying invested has mattered far more than getting the timing right. Over the past 2 decades, every dollar invested in the S&P 500 grew more than 8-fold. Miss just the 10 best days, and you would have earned less than half. And some of the market's strongest days came amid the most unsettling headlines. The danger is that we focus so much on the noise that we forget what actually matters. The forces behind today's headlines have been building for a long time. The old model of global capitalism is fracturing. Countries are spending enormous sums to become self-reliant in energy, in defense, and in technology. Meanwhile, the vast majority of the wealth has flowed to people who owned assets, not to people who earned most of their money working. Did you listen to that statement? Meanwhile, the vast majority of wealth has flowed to people who owned assets, who owned assets, who owned assets, not to people who earned most of their money by working. Okay? Not to people who earned most of their money by working. Listen to that. That's Larry Fink, one of the richest men on earth, basically telling you that most of the wealth that has been generated has been by self-starters, entrepreneurs, those kinds of people, and of course, investors. The people who stay at a job really are not the ones making that money. Since 1989, a dollar in the U.S. stock market has grown more than 15 times the value of a dollar tied to median wages. Now, AI threatens to repeat that pattern at an even larger scale, concentrating wealth among the companies and investors positioned to capture it. So we know that BlackRock is basically stating that artificial intelligence is going to be one of the main focuses of BlackRock. BlackRock wants AI to win. This is where much of today's economy anxiety comes from, a deeper feeling that capitalism is working, just not for enough people. And a focus on short-term investing is not that it is a fix for that. Rather, it is a long-term investing that allows countries to build domestic industries, that lets people build enduring wealth, and shows how their country's growth can benefit them too. At its best, long-term investing performs a kind of civic miracle. When people invest their savings over decades, not days, the capital markets put money to work, financing companies, infrastructure, and jobs. And when that cycle happens to your own country, your future and nation's future become linked. You help finance and its growth. It helps finance yours. My belief is in civic miracle is obviously shaped by my job, but I'm not speaking only as the CEO of BlackRock. This is Larry Fink's letter. That belief reflects decades of experience seeking how investing can help more people share in economic growth. It is also grounded in something more personal. My father was born in 1925, my mother in 1930. They didn't come from a lot of money. My dad owned a shoe store, my mom taught English, but they saved what they could and invested it. This was the 1950s and 60s, right when the interstate highway system was being built. The mid-century industrial boom was taking off, and the auto sector was reshaping American life. In their own small way, they helped finance all of that. They were part of the capital that built modern America, and over time, the gains flowed back to them. By the time they retired, they had enough savings to live comfortably well past 100, because their wealth compounded alongside the American economy. And that dynamic extends far beyond the United States. Across countries and generations, the pattern has been remarkably similar. Families who invested broadly and consistently through depression and the war, through inflation, financial crisis, and even a global pandemic, had an opportunity for their wealth to grow alongside their economies. That history is why I remain a long-term optimist, not because the path is smooth, but because markets have tended to reward those who stay invested through uncertainty. That is what this moment is about, expanding that opportunity, ensuring more people can own a stake in their own country's growth, because today too many are left out. Many people don't have the money to invest in the first place. Household living paycheck to paycheck. You can't invest if you're not sure you can afford next month's rent, next month's groceries, or unexpected bills. So the starting point has to be helping people build the financial security. And that's starting to happen. Emergency savings accounts where employers can match contributions and workers can withdraw penalty-free are gaining traction. And a growing number of countries are experimenting with investment accounts seeded at birth, giving kids a stake in a country's growth from the time they leave the hospital. Even where savings exist, participation remains limited. The U.S. likely has the highest rate of market participation in the world. Still, roughly 40% of the population has no exposure to the capital markets. Around the world, participation is far lower. Billions watch the economies grow from outside as renters rather than owners, putting their savings in bank accounts that earn little rather than investing to share in the growth around them. Markets work when investors trust they can buy and sell at a fair price. That trust helps businesses raise the capital they need to grow, and it allows families to spread their investments across many assets at a low cost instead of relying on just one. Expanding access to that system through better technology and financial education could help more people share in economic growth. Over time, that same technological advance could help bring greater transparency and potentially a broader access to parts of the private markets, areas like infrastructure and private credit that have traditionally been out of the reach of most individual investors. Half the world's population carries a digital wallet on their phone. Imagine if that same digital wallet could also allow you to invest in a broad mix of companies for the long term, as easily as sending a payment. Okay, so this is big. So basically, right here is where Larry Fink is telling you cryptocurrency. He's saying for the average investor, for the new investor, it's going to be crypto that allows you to actually gain wealth, to get on a what you could call a level playing field, right? We hear that term a lot. Tokenization could help accelerate that future by updating the plumbing of the financial system, making investments easier to issue, easier to trade, and easier to access. And I think it's interesting the language it used here, plumbing of the financial system. That sounds like XRP to me. But hey, maybe it's somebody else. Could be Bitcoin, could be Ethereum, who knows? Maybe it's Quant, maybe it's Solana. But to me, it sounds like Ripple XRP, the piping system, right? I start this letter with the forces that make this conversation particularly urgent right now: the reshuffling of global trade, the inequality that has risen over the past generation, and how AI threatens to widen the gap without broader market participation. Then I'll offer 4 examples, among many, of how countries are already expanding market participation and helping more people grow with their economies. The final section turns out to BlackRock work with client, which advances many of these same goals. One last thing, writing this letter is part of my duty to our shareholders and clients, but it is also a letter. And letters are meant to bring conversations. I hope this does. I'll be seeking out a range of perspectives, and I intend to spotlight some that meaningfully advance the discussion. Section 1, why growing with your country has never mattered more. The world is recognizing around self-reliance, and that's expensive. The massive wealth created over the past several generations flowed mostly to people who already owned financial assets, and now AI threatens to repeat that pattern at an even larger scale. Each of these forces on its own would be a reason to rethink how we invest. Together, they make the case. If we want more people to share in the future growth, we have to make long-term investing easier, broader, and more accessible. So, when we look at this entire letter here from Larry Fink, we know that there is absolutely the potential of artificial intelligence to happen and all of these big evolvements to happen. Again, this is just more from Larry Fink. You can look more at this. Just look right at BlackRock.com and you'll be able to find these updates. Social Security is a core promise, and people rightly believe it should be honored. But under the current system, doing nothing could very well break that promise. That's crazy, right? So we got a lot of information right here on BlackRock.com, and you can read this letter and see what he's really talking about. He said, "Finally, I want to say thank you to everybody at BlackRock. We founded this company 38 years ago. We hope that someday we might be able to recruit the best minds in the financial sector to join us. We did. And after nearly 4 decades at BlackRock, the people are the reason I still love coming to work. So to my BlackRock colleagues, I'm so grateful for you. And to BlackRock's clients, thank you for your trust. We now we know choosing someone to manage your money is a sacred thing, and we don't take it for granted. Serving you is a real privilege." Lawrence Fink, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer. So again, take a look at that. That is Larry Fink's letter. We read a little bit of that. He has more content on there, good content for you guys to read, but that's pretty much the basis of it. What do we know from that entire article? We learned that really artificial intelligence and then cryptocurrency, right? Digital assets, tokenization. This is what Larry Fink and BlackRock cares about the most. These are the companies that they're thinking about, right? They're thinking about NVIDIA probably. They're thinking about big companies like Tesla, SpaceX, right? Think the PayPal mafia kind of companies. They're thinking of Palantir, AI, anything mixed with autonomous work, anything mixed with tokenization and crypto. All of these things are revolutions that are going to be coming. And so if you want to make money in today's economy, this is the stuff. This is just the way you're going to have to grow. Okay. So let's talk more about this Iran war. What do you guys think about the Iran war? I wanted to talk more about this entire article. Again, this is pretty crazy. I've been seeing these videos all over X, and I think it's just horrible, right? This is Israel's war we're fighting. I don't think we should be involved in this war. I think this has nothing to do with the United States, right? Because I'm sick of seeing these videos. So let's take a look at this. I don't know did you guys see this over the weekend? Check this out.
"We Jews are God's chosen people, and the Gentiles must learn their purpose in life is to fight and die for Israel."
What? Like, that was like a real statement. their purpose is to fight and die for Israel? No, I don't think so. You can go and die for your own country, right? Absolute bombshell. Former Israeli president warns the world that the Israeli military is no longer moderate. He reveals the new generation of commanders are radicalized settlers with a messianic vision to use the army to accelerate biblical redemption. Terrifying shift. So let's see what this is all about. What do you guys think?
Even under Ariel Sharon.
So let's take a look at this. Again, if you're watching this, be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. We just read Larry Fink's shareholder, his investor letter to his people. We went over the markets a little bit. We went over crypto. We went over the gold markets. We went over oil and why the market crashed today. And now we're going to be looking at some of the bigger stories here on Twitter X. And I wanted to start with this video. So what did you guys think about this?
Attention. Most of the generals and the high up officers of today are people who were brought up, educated, shaped, and molded at the previous times of Israel. Under Rabin, under Peres, under Menachem Begin, even under Ariel Sharon, in a much more responsible country. The people who climb up now the ladder, the military ladder, are different kind of people who were brought up under the chaotic, problematic value system of Netanyahu, in the settlements, educated with this kind of messianic mission to use the army as a tool to accelerate redemption.
He's talking about the IDF.
And a day will come that you will see a chief of staff with this kind of agenda. You already have the head of the Shin Bet of our Secret Service coming from these circles.
Insane.
So to trust the Israeli army to be the more...
Yeah, I definitely don't. And we shouldn't. As Americans, we should put America first. It should be a huge policy, America first, because this is just something I'm tired of seeing on the internet, and nobody talks about it. You're not allowed to talk about this. You're not allowed to play these videos, right? You literally get banned when you talk about this issue. And it's unbelievable because it is the biggest news of today. The Iran war and the United States and Israel teaming up and bombing Tehran and Iran unprovoked, causing all of this. And now we're going to have more retaliatory strikes, giving the United States and Israel a reason and a precursor to just keep bombing. And the war is just going to keep going on. And then in the meanwhile, the United States, the American people get to see these videos on Twitter X. Al Jazeera, if you didn't know, is a journalistic platform. They cover the news happening in the Middle East.
We don't feel safe. Now you can go. Go take your briefcase, go take your Al Jazeera equipment and go. No one needs Al Jazeera. No one wants Al Jazeera over here. You don't decide. No one wants your people in the office. So don't attack me. Yeah, but your people you work for. The people you work for. The people you work. I don't know who you are.
Crazy.
I don't know who you work for. I don't know about you, but I know the people go. Al Jazeera should go there. Motives.
And again, this isn't the first time we've seen some really hostile behavior towards journalists in Israel, where there was just a few journalists who were literally bombed. Just a few months ago, right? There was a journalist who was bombed in Israel for trying to cover the entire Gaza genocide. So again, this is just a journalist from Al Jazeera. These people are just doing their job. They're journalists. They're reporters. They cover the news happening in the Middle East. But because they're Arabic, of course, the people of Israel are not fond of that. And of course, being in the middle of a war, that's not going to be hard to understand there. But yeah, right now as this entire Iran war is happening and going on, Israel is settling Lebanon. They're dropping white phosphorus bombs in the sky. They're gaslighting the public and the mainstream media, not allowing you to talk about it. And when you do talk about it, you're getting in trouble because you talk about it. And here in the meantime, this is actually what's happening. People are getting accosted in the streets for actually, again, trying to question what's really going on, to question the truth. Crazy. Total hostility. Here, these guys are just trying to find the truth. So is this going to come to the United States? That's my question.
He wants to go. He knows the reality of the truth.
An important thing to know is that when we try to understand the psychology of the Israeli people, they believe that these journalists are, Hamas supporters and Hezbollah supporters. They say that anybody who is basically not for this war with Iran is supporting Hamas. That's all bullcrap, because we know that the state of Israel created Hamas and Hezbollah. We understand that that's just the truth. And so, when we watch these videos, we know it's like this is entire psyop happening on the people.
So are we committing an offence by being here? Are they committing an offence by harassing us when we're trying to work?
Oh, you want to go?
De facto, they are trying to stop us.
They're reporting the news. Okay? Then you can raise that.
Don't make these guys job harder.
At this point here, just want people to move on. If you have an issue, raise it in the appropriate channel. We're doing it here.
Crazy.
Like today isn't the right place to do it.
We feel threatened Al Jazeera being here.
We feel threatened. See, these people, Jews, Arabs, and when I say Arabs, I mean hostile Arab towards Christians, which honestly I believe are very much funded. These different groups are very suspicious groups of Muslims. I honestly wonder who they're funded by, because they don't really co-align with the actual Muslim and what their way of life is like, right? When I see these people from Al Jazeera, when I see the Israeli people acting this way, and really, especially in the UK, this video was taken in the UK, you have to this is the one thing they always say, I don't feel safe, and then that's all you have to say, and then nobody is allowed to record. Nobody is allowed to actually have freedom of speech as long as you say, I don't feel safe in Britain. And they use this. They know that. They don't actually feel unsafe. Look at that. They're totally outnumbering Al Jazeera, but they're going to just do what they do and gaslight.
Al Jazeera being here is
It's just not right.
The reporting is going to go to potential terrorists. That's what we don't want to see down our street.
Potential terrorists, you guys genocided an entire freaking city. Gaza, it's all gone. But you guys did that. Children, women. And you guys are proud of it.
So for our safety, please remove them from the street.
We're not going to be removing anyone from the street.
How dare you
I
call
can't
me an
define my own
anti-Semite?
racism. I can't define my own racism. Don't tell me what's racism against me and what's not.
Dare you?
Don't tell me what's racism
Shame
against
on
me.
you.
Shame on me.
Yeah, and then everybody's being called an anti-Semite all the time. See, anybody who questions the Israeli war, anybody who questions this war, you are called an anti-Semite. And it's just, listen, anybody who calls me an anti-Semite, you're wrong. I'm not an anti-Semite. And so, honestly, anybody who calls me an anti-Semite, you don't understand what you're talking about. You don't know what that term even means. You don't know why that term was created by the Jewish people to silence anybody who questioned the real events of World War II, the Holocaust, the truth that there was actually no gas chambers. Yeah, that's a real truth. The fact that there was pretty much no bodies buried there. Where's the 6 million bodies? Where are the bodies? Where's the archaeological evidence? We don't have any. We just have a bunch of, we have these people who come from lines and lines and generations of this stuff, and they say, oh, this happened, and we got genocided, and, but here's the thing. In World War II, did you know that more Christians were killed than Jews? Did you know that more Europeans were killed than Jews? That's my problem here. We're not being accurate on the history. So let's take a look at this video. It's important to watch this because, you go on Grok, you go on ChatGPT, you want to know what you're told when you say these things that I'm saying? You're just called an anti-Semite, or you're told that, oh, well, that notion is a classic anti-Semitic trope. And it's like, how annoying is that? That's not true. This is just the facts. This is exactly how things are. So listen to what these people have to say and tell me I'm wrong.
Christianity was a useful transition to take people away from paganism towards a monotheistic belief in God.
In preparing the world to make the choice to receive the Mashiach, God has an intermediary stage of weaning the idolaters away from their idolatrous beliefs and introducing them to the ideas of monotheism. Christianity and Islam are like vehicles through which monotheism is being spread into the world in order to get all of humanity on board.
Both Christianity and Islam have a positive function in weaning the pagan world away from paganism.
Before the religion of Christianity, the Romans...
All of this is untrue, by the way.
Worshipped the stars, they worshipped the constellations, but as soon as they decided to adopt a religion, what kind of religion did they adopt? They didn't worship a god. They took a Yid. They took a Jew.
How can I not be happy?
Because he was God. And the Jews don't believe that. See, when it's convenient, the Jews love to claim Christianity as their religion. When it's convenient for them in a war or whatever situation, the Jews will claim that Christianity came from Judaism. It's like, well, Jesus was a Jew, but it's like, yeah, well, you guys killed him. You condemned him to death. And it was because he didn't believe in the Jewish religion, the ways of the Pharisees in particular. You say he's a practicing Jew. Jesus was a practicing Jew. Okay, so that's what we're told. But why did he speak Armenian then? How come he didn't speak Hebrew? You know, that's what I'm trying to figure out. And if he did, to the extent that he did, it wasn't his main language. And it's interesting. Why in the records of Pontius Pilate and his writings of basically where he describes the actual physical appearance of Jesus Christ, he describes Jesus as a tall, lean man with blonde hair, a blonde beard, golden eyes. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. And so we have a whole perception of history and Christianity and all of these things when really Judaism didn't come until like 100 years after Christianity. So these people have inverted and subverted the entire Christian religion. And here they are the people who condemned Christ to death. The Romans didn't kill Christ. The Romans were the ones who put him on the cross for the Jewish people because the Jewish people demanded that Christ be killed the same way they killed the rest of their own prophets. So this is where we're at today. And these people now, when it's convenient, again, they claim that they own the entire religion of Christianity when it's not true at all.
When I see millions of goyim bow down to one Jew tonight.
But why did you guys kill Christ? Because he wasn't Jewish. He was a Christian. Hence his name, Jesus Christ. He started a new revolution, which was Christianity. Christianity became the antithesis of Judaism because Judaism worships money. It worships human sacrifice. Okay? Blood libels. All these things are real. ChatGPT and Grok will tell you it's an anti-Semitic trope, but this is the truth. Okay? Jesus Christ came and he said, no more wars, no more lying, no more deception, no more killing your own prophets. No, there is a thing called peace, and through me, I am God. Through me, you will have eternal life. Only through me, the Son, then you will have eternal life.
An empire that was at one point totally pagan becomes essentially 100% Christian.
Christianity is a lot closer to Judaism than the ancient paganism of thousands of years ago.
Rome conquered Jerusalem with weapons, earthly weapons, but now Jerusalem's going to conquer Rome with spiritual weapons.
And we should point out that Christianity did essentially defeat the gods of Rome.
Jesus Christ is the instrument of God to bring the good news to the world. He's the instrument of God to bring the pagans out of paganism and into faith in one God. That's the work of Jesus Christ, and that's the work of the Apostle Paul.
For to take pagans and to turn them into B'nai Noach, into people, moral, righteous Gentiles.
For the Gentile world, he took them away.
And many of this is true because the Vikings also believed in a pagan religion, right? The Vikings believed in a pagan religion, and then Christianity made the Vikings, again, they made the Vikings basically follow a book of principles, the Holy Bible. It wasn't the Torah, okay? That's very it's interesting to see how Judaism tries to conveniently take the credit of Christianity and suddenly flips everything around on its head. They just do this. It's just unbelievable.
And he made them embrace the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach.
Tell that to the Catholic
basic
Church,
moral
bud.
codes known as the 7 Noachide laws that God gave them, Adam and the B'nai Noach, for all of humanity.
God is actually using Christianity and Islam as a vehicle through which humanity is being brought back to the state of Eden.
The Rambam explained the role of Christianity and Islam. They do the mass market adoption. And that's part of the Messianic process. And that's there to prepare the world for Messiah.
Yeah, their Messiah. The Jews believe that their Messiah is coming back in this generation, and they believe that their Messiah is potentially Donald Trump, by the way. And they believe that Jesus Christ was never the Messiah. And here we as Christians believe that he will be coming back a second time. So it's very interesting. We'll see what happens with all of the history, right? Videos capture rampant settler violence in Israel's West Bank as settlers try to burn families alive in their homes in Bethlehem, reports from the Times of Israel. Counter to the extremist claims, religious fanaticism and a mainstream belief among Orthodox and conservative Jews in Israel. So let's take a look at this video. Again, they're doing this in Lebanon. What means they can't do this in the United States? What tells us that the Jews won't do this to their own allies, Americans? Haven't they done this to us before? 9/11, JFK, Charlie Kirk. And now look at what they're doing in Lebanon. These are all Christian villages, by the way. Grok won't tell you it. ChatGPT won't tell you it. The mainstream media won't tell you, but they're just burning and genociding Christian villages like it's their job. And the reason that I'm reporting on it is because nobody else is. But that's what's happening. And they say, oh, it's Hamas and Hezbollah. Israeli terrorists have begun demolishing Qiyam, Lebanon, after forcibly driving out residents. They will destroy it, then rebuild it, and put Israeli settlers there. Yep. Look at that. Qiyam, Lebanon today. What if that was your neighborhood? Let me ask you that. And you knew that it was the Jews, the Zionists specifically doing this. What would you have to say about it? Would you fight back, or would you just let these people basically do whatever they want in a satanic form? Authorities say 20-year Cadence A. Carpenter of Kentucky was taken into custody after she drove into a crowd of people with extreme indifference to the value of human life. Yeah. As a police officer, let me tell you right now, if people are blocking your car like this, look at these people. These are all inner city people. They're, clearly, we've seen all the videos. We know how this ends up. This girl's going to get shot. She's going to get raped, or she is going to get robbed or carjacked. Anything could happen, because look at this group. Kicking her car, probably. So she's trying to get out of the way. She warns them. She shuns them once, warns them, pushes the people out of the way, accelerates her vehicle, says, hey, get out of the way. They don't get out of the way. No. What do? They get in the way of the vehicle. They start attacking the vehicle. And so this girl says, fuck you, get out of my way. Why don't people do this every time? This should not be illegal. And my favorite is the reaction of these police officers, horrible police officers. Look at this. Get out of the vehicle. How could you? Those were a bunch of nice people back there. Do you feel strong, cops?
She's too drunk. Why would she do that shit?
Yeah, probably. But listen, at the end of the day, the point is that you can't be covering the road. You can't be in the middle of the road blocking people's vehicles and expect not to get run the fuck over, you idiot. You deserve to be run over if you are dumb enough to stand in front of a car, try to kick it, attack it, jump on the hood of it. You deserve to be run over. You deserve to smack your head on the concrete. You deserve to get a concussion. And you deserve to hopefully learn your lesson and never stand in front of a freaking moving vehicle again.
Why would she do this?
Again, if she was drinking and driving, obviously we don't advocate for that. Probably was. She lives in the city. Look at the demographics of the people she's around.
Are you okay?
They love to see it because they know she's going to go to jail, so the black people love to see that. Listen, this isn't about blacks versus whites, but they are in the city. The people who were surrounding the vehicle were pretty much all black with like one white guy there, right? I see one white guy here, and he might not even be white. This guy right here. One white person, the rest look like they are black. Identifiably so. This girl is telling them, get out of the way. What if these people have a gun? You don't think any of these dudes have a gun? We see the videos on X. We see what happens to these people when you don't actually fight back, when you don't actually try to get out of the way. You get shot in the fucking head. Saying this as a cop. She did the right thing. Yeah, see, okay. So the people weren't necessarily totally in her way here. Like, she could have she could have maybe maneuvered a little bit more. But, dude, I'd be fucking pissed. If I'm in my car and I'm trying to get home and you people are in the front of my car, black, white, no matter what color you are, I'm running you the fuck over. Seriously, this is horrible. Get out of her way. Like, get out of the way. You are impeding traffic. Okay, so the comment section would now probably argue with me that she is on the side, that they were all on the sidewalk and that they weren't doing anything wrong. Yeah. Okay, defense attorneys. She was on the sidewalk and not doing anything wrong. Or they were on the sidewalk and not doing anything wrong. What else? Why else would they be there? Like, honestly, why are they even there? Probably because of party. But again, they're already swarming her vehicle. They're giving her a hard time from the very beginning of the video. Look at this. It's a whole mob. How is she getting out? Honestly, I guess she could have pulled back and she should have just ripped out and gone this way where my cursor is. Whoop. and then just right over where this little car is, just slipped over the side and then just got out. But it's the only way. That's the only other way she could have done it. Just reversed and then pulled out the other way. She went over the sidewalk. Yeah, that's illegal. See, okay, so we understand. I didn't see that before. We see the sidewalk here. That's where everybody is standing. But again, they're coming over at this girl. And listen. Yeah, not acceptable on anybody's part here. But I know the way. We see the videos, It's sad to see people acting this way, acting like idiots, getting drunk in the first place. You shouldn't even be drinking alcohol. If you were smart, you would never drink. But, yeah, so she obviously looks like she's drunk. She looks like she probably might have drank too much. Point is, we know what happened to Irina Zarutska. We know that because she was a kind, innocent soul and wanted to sit on the subway and just mind her own business just so happened to sit in front of a black African-American male. Well, that wasn't good enough. She got stabbed in the neck and killed and her throat cut. So that was her consequence for riding the subway. And so it's like, you think of these girls 20 years old, they look at what happens to Irina Zarutska by a black male, and it's like, what do you think is causing all of this? And again, you see groups of black people and they're hopping on your car and they're damaging everything, they're kicking everything, they're acting like animals. And it's like, then you're supposed to just let them do it. Beautiful girl, too. Good looking chick. Not even that bad looking. So anyways, all I know is support the GoFundMe because we see enough of the injustice. We see the double standards. We see how, in the inner cities, they commit a crime and they just totally get away with it. They stab somebody, they shoot somebody, they rape somebody, they get away with it. All the charges dropped. And so, you know what? I don't feel bad for those people.
2.0.
So let's take a look at this video, Lockdown
Playbook.
2.0. The International Energy Agency released a 10-point plan telling governments to restrict driving, ground flights, force remote work, and ban gas cooking. They called it sheltering from oil shots. Let's look at this. So again, if you're watching this, be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe also.
It's a 10-point plan over the weekend telling governments to restrict driving, ground flights, force remote work, and ban gas cooking. They called it sheltering from oil shocks.
Ban gas cooking.
Here is the plan. Number one, they are recommending alternating driving days based on your license plate number, odd plates on Monday, even plates on Tuesday, and countries are now already implementing this. They're recommending mandatory speed limit reductions on every highway, not for safety, but fuel rationing by another name. You can still drive, just slower and less often.
Meanwhile, Bill Gates will be on his private jet, running up those carbon emissions, and you'll pay for it.
Number three, avoiding all air travel where alternatives exist. They didn't define what that actually meant, but the ambiguity, writes Aaron Day, is the feature. It lets regulators decide after the fact whether your trip was essential or not. Non-essential versus essential. Does that ring any bells?
Yep. They couldn't do it during COVID. They couldn't do the tracking and the contact tracing during COVID. So now they have to use a war as a precursor to do it. They have to use digital ID. They have to get it out somehow. And it's going to start in the UK. Keir Starmer already said that this is happening.
Here's another one. It's going
to happen here in the United States as well. They're going to use the guides of anti-Semitism and that entire notion, probably mass shootings, any kind of terrorist events, false flags. They'll use those events to create anti-gun laws. And eventually, once they disarm the American people, then it's over. When they have created federal laws against the Second Amendment and the First Amendment, which they are doing in progress right now, the Zionists, they are basically making it impossible and illegal to question the state of Israel at all for the genocide that they are committing on Christian villages in Lebanon and Gaza. And you're not allowed to talk about it, question it, or anything. You're called an anti-Semite. I would be labeled that when I'm not. I'm a Christian. And obviously, I don't hate anybody. I have no hate in my heart. I'm a pretty clear-headed individual. I've served my country as a police officer. Now I'm a real estate agent. I'm an entrepreneur. I would serve anybody who came up to me needing my help, my assistance. They need my help with a house, I'll help you out. No matter who you are, Jew, Gentile, I'll help you out. But at the end of the day, we need to understand that this is a real war happening, and the war that's happening is being pushed by a bunch of psychopaths. And it's putting a bad image on the Jewish people. And at the same time, it's putting a bad image on everybody, and especially the United States. this alliance needs to end. That's what we're going to be seeing at the end of this. This is not going to last. The American alliance, the next generation will not be supporting Israel the way that this administration does. You know, the only reason Trump was really signed up for this Iran war is because he was in the Epstein files and for what he did to a 13-year-old girl, right? He raped a 13-year-old girl, 14-year-old girl. Yeah, it's in the Epstein files, okay? We know all about it. We also know that, you know, some weird things happened between Trump and Bill Clinton, right? So it's like, yeah, if Trump ever were to get us out of this war with Iran, all of that information is going to come out. That would be what would happen. No matter what, we're going to be splitting and getting out of the Middle East, and Israel is going to have their greater Israel project. They're going to control the trade in the entire Middle East, and we're going to lose that money as a country. And not only that, we're going to basically have to heel and kneel to the state of Israel.
Gas cooking to electric.
This is the whole plan.
IEA is now telling you what appliances you can use in your kitchen. And the same agency that published net zero by 2050 is calling now for thermostats to be capped at 19 degrees and a ban on new gas boilers. This is not new, it's accelerating.
Agenda
and then
2030.
Work from home if
this
possible.
is what it is.
The guidelines mimic 2020 when they locked down the world and called it public health. In 2026, they're locking down movement and calling it energy security. The template is identical, writes Aaron.
Yeah. So you look at all of these things happening, and it's like, how can anybody really be that surprised? How can you really be too surprised about the things that are going on?
The IEA chief, basically.
Right? So let's keep going on. Breaking, more than 3,000 soldiers from the elite 82nd Airborne Division of the U.S. Armed Forces have already arrived in the Middle East aboard the U.S. Air Force's C-17A Globemaster III heavy support transport aircraft, which has completed 35 flights since March 12th to date, with an additional 11 aircraft currently in the air. It is expected that they will participate in a potential assault to seize control of Iran's islands in the Strait of Hormuz, Greater Tum, Lesser Tun, and the Abu Musa. Okay? Additionally, 6 CM Super Galaxy aircraft of the U.S. Air Force landed in the region 4 days ago, transporting the U.S. Army's 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment. Hey, the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, by the way, is the same unit that took down Maduro on Operation Absolute Resolve. So they will be, looks like they're being sent to Iran. MH-47G and MH-60M helicopters, their mission is to support the U.S. Army Special Forces, including Delta Force, in a planned operation in Isfahan aimed at extracting enriched uranium. As part of the broader strategy, it is expected that the United States will exchange ownership rights of the aforementioned 3 Iranian islands for non-aggression and non-capture of the Karg Island. U.S. military officials are considering that the combat brigades of the U.S. Army's 82nd Airborne Division have the capability to deploy anywhere in the world within 18 hours. There is also consideration of relocating some of the elements of the division's headquarters from Fort Bragg, North Carolina to Iran to support U.S. military operations, defense officials told the New York Times. There is a second version, differing from the above, that these forces may be used to seize Karg Island, which is a key hub for Iran's oil exports. So, again, there's U.S. troops. They're being dropped off in Iran to fight Israel's war. Yes, U.S. troops and our best men, our special forces, our greatest guys, the guys who are on the Operation Absolute Resolve, they will now go and fight and die for Israel. Aren't you excited? And so that's the story. That's the story. I guess that's what it's all about. Breaking news, Netanyahu is not dead. What are your thoughts on this? So Alex Barnicoat, he's been pretty accurate on the news. He's been pretty up to date on the news. I like to cover his channel on the cutting edge news that's happening in Israel today. So let's take a look at this video.
Of Iran. At least 108. Some breaking news, Netanyahu is not dead, he's alive. Well, today he went around Israel and he visited the craters and the bomb sites of the Iranian missile attacks yesterday. If you don't know, Iran carried out some of the biggest missile attacks I've ever seen onto Israel last night. Specifically, one of those missiles hit the village of Irad. At least 180 Israelis were injured in that attack, and so Netanyahu and the president of Israel, Isaac Herzog, went to those scenes. Today they went there and they did many interviews.
Do you think Netanyahu is alive, or do you think Netanyahu's dead, by the
with
way?
the media, and they talked about everything that happened.
I think Netanyahu's obviously alive. Somebody that powerful, they're going to hide him. At the very most, they're going to hide him. But he made videos today, right here, like Alex is about to talk about.
They used it as an opportunity to accuse Iran of war crimes and call for other countries to join the war in support of Israel to fight against this terrorist regime. Now, even though a lot of people are sharing this footage and there's many different camera angles of Netanyahu, one of the things people are overlooking is that he's alive. For the last 2 weeks, and I refused to cover it because I didn't think that he was dead, people were saying he was. People were saying there's AI footage, people are saying they were reusing footage, etc. And so there was a big rumor online, and I'm sure a lot of you would have thought it, that Netanyahu is dead. And now I can bring you the news that he's alive. Today he was spotted by...
So they say, though, I mean, we saw those videos. The AI videos were out of control. I mean, it was clearly not him in many of those videos. That's obvious. We saw rings disappearing in one of them. We saw 6 fingers in one of them. We saw real, obviously, AI videos. If anything, they were mastering some kind of technology, probably practicing, using the American people as a database to focus in on the, what needed the most work, what was the hardest thing, and they probably mastered some kind of AI video generation for a future cause. But ultimately, I think Netanyahu is still alive, and if he's not alive, then they faked his death. That's kind of my theory on it. But mainstream media is still being weird about it. They're still I haven't really seen a live stream, right? I want to see the live streams, but we will see.
So many people you couldn't possibly
Not sure if
say
this
that
was a
wasn't
live
him.
stream, honestly.
There are dozens of camera angles of him giving these interviews today. He was on Fox News, etc. And so he's alive. But you can leave me a follow because I'm going to give you the real news and I'm not going to lie to you for views like a lot of people will. So regardless of what you think of this, at least you can trust that. So leave me a follow because I'm covering all the news that you won't find anywhere else.
Yeah, so it looks like Netanyahu's alive, apparently. What do you guys think? Do you think Netanyahu's alive? I also wanted to play this. Kyle Blomquist for U.S. Congress. Being America first means caring for the needs of our people at home, not funding violent foreign governments or starting costly wars of aggression. So this guy's
Our
pretty
president
great.
Didn't
Let's take a
deem it
listen to
necessary to. Let's talk about what it means to be America first. You see, I believe that your tax dollars should be spent here, improving the lives of people at home. Instead, your tax dollars were used to bomb and kill over 100 young girls in a school in Iran.
That's all true.
Our president didn't deem it necessary to seek the consent of Congress, our representatives in our government, prior to this attack on Iran. He did so at the behest of Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yep.
I'm Kyle Blomquist, and I'm running for Congress here in northern Michigan. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to contribute to my campaign, and here's why. Every year, the U.S. sends billions of our taxpayer dollars to Israel to fund their government's continual thirst for war.
Pause. Did you know that we've spent $300 billion since just 1946? $300 billion. And now, according to Pete Hegseth, our budget for this Iran war is going to be $200 billion. So we're going to have a total of $500 billion pumped into this this Greater Israel project overall since 1946. $500 billion. Imagine what that could have done for your family over the past few generations.
And expansion. As we continue to subsidize Israel's defense and backstop their ability to perpetrate violence against their neighbors, that allows them to guarantee universal health care to all of their citizens.
100%.
At the same time, the Trump administration and congressional Republicans have kicked millions of Americans off of their own health care coverage. This inequity is impossible to ignore. This is not America first. This is Israel first. I vowed to never take money from AIPAC or any dark money or corporate PAC. I refuse to be funded by the military-industrial complex, one that incentivizes the cycle of violence that we're constantly in.
Yep.
It's long past time that we demand, fight for, and ultimately win a government that works for the American working class, the people living and working here, and stop sacrificing our troops and dollars and security to a violent foreign government that does not even respect us, let alone international law.
For sure. And they don't.
That's why I'm asking
Israel
for
does
your
not
support
respect
today.
international law. They don't believe
Will
they
you
have
chip
to
in
follow
just
international law.
$15? Every bit goes a long way for campaigns like mine in districts like ours to win back a voice that was stolen from the American working class.
Yeah, you should support this guy. If you care about America first, if you're sick of seeing politicians say, "Oh, Israel's the greatest country on earth. We need to go and fight their wars." If you're sick of hearing that out of our congressmen who have no backbone, then maybe this is the guy you should trust. Kyle Blomquist for Congress. Be sure to donate to his campaign. I think he is America first. I like what he's been saying. Justin, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang says we've achieved AGI.
And the reason
so
for
as
that
an
is
AI
this, you
systems
said
builder myself, I can't not cover AI, right? I like to talk about AI because as the CEO of Gold Shark Media AI, where we build apps for entrepreneurs like yourself, maybe, yeah, this is big news.
I think it's now. I think we've achieved AGI.
You think you can have a company run by an AI system like this?
Possible. And the reason for that is this. You said a billion, and you didn't say forever. And so, for example, it is not out of the question that a claw was able to create a web service, some interesting little app that all of a sudden,
takes off.
A few billion people used for 50 cents.
100%. Yeah, that's a real thing. That's a very real thing. Like, honestly, AGI has totally already happened, right? Justin, Iranian passport found at burn site of Jewish ambulances in the UK. A copy of Mein Kampf was also recovered intact in the burnt down vehicle. So that was a big story, apparently. New York Jews have their own Hatzalah ambulances. In 1991, race riots erupted after a 7-year-old black boy was hit by a car escorting a grand rabbi that ran a red light. The Hatzalah ambulance loaded the Jewish car driver but left the child behind to die in the street. So, yeah, crazy. So what is up with that? Again, if you watch Tyler Oliveira's YouTube channel, he covers the Hasidic Jews in Brooklyn, kind of talking about this issue, how they have their own police department, they have their own EMS, they got their own everything. And they don't. It's like, how come they don't just abide by the NYPD's laws? How come they don't have to abide by the same laws we all do? It's almost like they have their own legal system just for themselves, right? How come there is allowed to be a Jewish community, but there cannot be a white-only community? How come there can be Chinatown, but there can't be a white-only community, right? You really can't even have a black-only community, and they have that, but it's really just, they kind of keep that under gentrification. They keep that to the inner cities. So they do have these enclaves that they've created over time politically, right? Do you understand what just happened? 5 minutes before Trump announced he's halting attacks on Iran, someone bought $1.5 billion in S&P 500 futures and sold $192 million in oil. 5 minutes, not 5 days, not 5 hours, 5 minutes. The trade was 4 to 6 times larger than anything hitting the markets at that time. Someone knew the exact words that President Trump was going to say before he said them and turned that information into the biggest trade in a single day. They tell you the stock market is free and fair market, that anyone can build wealth, and that the system works for everyone. The system worked for someone today. 5 minutes before you even knew what happened, they already got paid. This isn't insider trading anymore. Insider trading implies they're hiding it. This is broad daylight. Crazy. And I totally agree. Here was the statement released by Netanyahu 5 hours ago. This was posted by the Shadow of Ezra. Let's take a listen to this video. Some people are saying that this video is AI. Again, I'll kind of translate this. We'll start it over here. Earlier today, I spoke with our friend President Trump. President Trump believes there is a chance to leverage the tremendous achievements of the IDF and the U.S. military in order to achieve the war objectives in the agreement, an agreement that will safeguard our vital interests. At the same time, we continue to attack both in Iran and in Lebanon. We are cutting the missile program and the nuclear program tight and continue to do it hard with Hezbollah. Earlier today, I spoke with our friend President Trump. Yeah, again, I think it just started over. Okay, so that's huge. So this war is going to continue. Netanyahu just said it. That's the intent. That's the goal. They want to continue the war. More war with Iran. That is the objective. Greater Israel Project. Pax Judaica. It's happening. There's nothing we can really do as Americans but basically cover it, right? This is the prophecy, as they say. Bull theory, silver crashed nearly 50% in 53 days. We may have found out who caused it. Silver hit all-time high, $121.64 on January 29th, 2026. Today, it sits at $65, a 46% collapse, and 25% off the top happened after February 25th, 2026. So that's pretty huge, yeah. Lots of big news in the markets today. Update from Andrew Tate. I like this. It's true, though. Who else is sick of the terms and conditions updates with Apple? I just wanted to play this because I'm just as frustrated as Andrew Tate here. Listen to this. Do you guys agree? I agree with this. I think he's completely and totally right about this.
My iPhone just flashed up. Apple new terms and conditions. And
Seriously.
I clicked cancel instantly or accept. I don't know what I clicked. My thumb moved so quickly, I can't tell you what I clicked. I just got rid of it. I don't know what I've even fucking agreed to. I could have agreed to give away my house, give away my car, give away my woman. I could have agreed for them to spy on me as if they aren't already. Who reads this stuff? We live in the Matrix, bro. All these terms and conditions we endlessly sign, endlessly updated. And they send you a notification saying, we've updated our terms and conditions. And the new terms and conditions are, you are our slave. And we're all just clicking accept. We don't have a fucking clue what's in any of this stuff.
That's right.
And I admit it. I just did it myself. So Apple, if you're going to come take all my wealth, take my cars, take all my things, I know I agreed, but I didn't mean to agree. You just famoosed me. And you famoosed me by trying to make me read something when I have TikTok brain because I'm lazy. Because every single person has massive ADHD because we're addicted to doom scrolling and endless dopamine. I can't read the terms and conditions for the product which controls my entire life. The product which controls my money, it allows me to talk to all the most important people in my life. It knows all my locations. It knows where I go. It literally is my entire life. It is my persona digitized into binary code, and I can't read any of the terms and fucking conditions. I'm sorry, Apple.
Yeah.
Steve, I can't read it, okay?
Who else is sick of it?
I don't have time. I can't focus. Even if I tried, 2019, Apple, I'm already bored, and I made it up. I made a more interesting version of your shit terms and conditions. If you're going to come take all my fucking stuff, do it. Don't even send me the notification. It just reminds me that I've been cucked by you motherfuckers. It reminds me that you own my entire fucking existence.
He's so right,
I'm
though.
going to agree to it anyway, so I can talk to some stupid whore on Instagram.
Seriously.
I admit it. You win. Don't send me any more fucking notifications.
So that was an update from Andrew Tate. He's not happy about Apple's terms and conditions. But seriously, who's not fucking sick of that? I'm tired of going on Apple, go on my phone, and I get a notification, and suddenly I have to click agree and continue, and I don't even know what I just agreed and what I'm continuing to. Like, what's going to happen, right? Remember the South Park episode where they made about that, the human Sentai pad, and everybody who clicked agree agreed to basically sign up for this human iPad that was created from their own body. It was an insane episode, right? I mean, it just sounds nuts when I talk about it. But that's the agenda, right? Why is Apple just doing that? You're 5,000 times more likely to die by one of these Home Depot invaders who Trump gave a pass to than dying by one of Lindsey Graham's Iranian sleeper cells. Yeah, illegal immigration. Don't you love America in 2026? Isn't it fun? Isn't it great when there's no law and order? We don't need any laws. Hey, we don't need laws. Let's just do whatever we want. Let's just run into polls. Let's just drink all day. Let's just do drugs. Let's just do whatever we want. And then this stuff can happen on a 24-hour basis. And hey, don't worry, because there's no law and order, nothing will happen to this guy. He'll actually probably get commended. He'll probably get to sue them. He'll probably get to sue the business that he just ran his car into. And the cops will gladly just serve this guy and just be on his side. Hopefully not, obviously. As a cop myself, I think this is totally ridiculous. It's like, we need to end this. No more illegal immigration. You should know how to drive a vehicle if you live in this country. You should have responsibility. You should be able to speak the English language. ¿Qué pasó, amigo? Like seriously. Like, nobody can understand what you're saying. Like, you speak English. You live in America, and this is what we deal with. You know, we now basically have to accept that we are foreigners in our own country. Right? It's very, very dangerous. And we have to accept that bad drivers are oftentimes these illegal immigrants. And so we get to drive with that and pretend like that's just who we are as a society. No, it's not.
Literally.
So this is just the start of the supply chain break. So check this video out. This entire supply chain is breaking. Yes, the economy is dying because of this Iran war, and it's starting to show. Take a look at this video.
So Sienna and I have just come to Coles to literally get popcorn. And look, there's nothing.
No food.
Look at the shelves here.
No food.
What the?
Look at this.
This is literally, there's nothing.
Get ready for poverty. It's coming.
Oh,
If you're watching this episode, you better be stocking up on doomsday prepping. You better be getting water. You better be getting guns. You better be buying ammunition. There's something cooking. There's something coming. Because guess what? The supply chain is not cooking.
Well, you're taking the piss. Look at that.
Now, this is in Australia,
Left.
but it's coming here to the United States next. Make no mistake about it. The United States is going to be under attack of this entire supply chain very soon. We're going to be seeing the effects of gas prices going up. The oil prices are going to go up. All of these things are going to inevitably happen. The middle class is going to pay for it the most. So, what do you guys think? Just in, Ukraine strikes Russia's largest oil port. That was a big story. Here's some footage from that. Crazy. So where we're at in 2026. Wow. So what the actual F? Iran's parliament speaker says the U.S. has used fake news of peace talks with Iran to manipulate the oil and financial markets. 100%. That absolutely happened. Multiple reports of ex-claim insiders made over $100 million today with this trade. Yeah. Makes you think of Trump coin, don't it? But that's the game. It's the Wild West. It's crypto. It's oil. It's all of it. You got this is how you get rich. You can never let a good crisis go to waste. Okay, I try to help you make money during the hard times too. Justin Franklin Templeton says XRP is moving toward Bitcoin and Ethereum level institutional adoption. 100%. It's going to be huge. XRP is going to be massive, I think. Great way to hedge against the economy. Justin, Russia signs a deal with Vietnam to build its first nuclear power plant. So that's big. That'll definitely impact the South China Sea and what China's doing there. Russia's making their moves over on the other side of the Eastern Hemisphere. Shit's getting done. Deals are being made. Russia is making their moves. So they're not just laying over, you know. Israel just blew up a Christian village, not in Tehran, not in Gaza, but in Lebanon. That's a big explosion. And they claim, the crazy part is when I grokked this, when I clicked grok and tried to get the full story, they told me, oh, well, and when I said, hey, is this really a Christian village? It confirmed that it is a Christian village, but it wasn't a big deal to Grok. Grok said that this is just a war, that Hezbollah were the fighters there, so it's okay. It's okay that this was a Christian village because Hezbollah and Hamas were there, even though Israel created Hezbollah and Hamas. Really, this is all an excuse to bomb Christian villages and to get away with it, and then they're going to gaslight the public into giving them more money so they can do it to Lebanon. That's what's coming. And you'll probably pay for it with your tax dollars. Covered that. BlackRock's CEO of BlackRock there. These were the statements that Trump made that basically saying the Iran war was going to end.
Better public relations people. We have had very, very strong talks. We'll see where they lead. We have major points of agreement. I would say almost all points of agreement. Perhaps that hasn't been conveyed. The communication, as you know, has been blown to pieces. They're unable to talk to each other. But we've had very strong talks. Mr. Witkoff and Mr. Kushner had them. They went, I would say, perfectly. I would say that if they carry through with that, it'll end that problem, that conflict, and I think it'll end it very, very substantially.
We can only hope.
We have very much in mind our partners in the Middle East. We've had great relationships with a lot of them, as you know. A lot of them were
again. Iran said none of this happened.
Physically hit, and I was surprised to see it, and so was everyone else. But we have.
But they said these talks never happened.
In mind in the discussions. So the discussions took place yesterday. They went into yesterday evening.
Apparently not true.
They want very much to make a deal. We'd like to make a deal too. We're going to get together today by probably phone because it's very hard to.
No, Trump. Iran's not going to negotiate.
For them to get out.
They're not going to negotiate with terrorists, and we're the terrorists this time. We're the ones bombing them.
We'll see how that goes. And if it
unprovoked
goes well,
this time around.
Settling this. Otherwise, we'll just keep bombing our little hearts out.
But you know, he says that with glee. It's like, who is guiding Trump? Who is advising Trump, right? I honestly believe that Trump's advisors are, maybe they've set up these fake Iranian negotiators that they are having Trump negotiate with that are actually working for Israel under Israel's obviously agenda, right? So maybe they're trying to, maybe you got these guys who are actually working for Israel masquerading as Iranian negotiators, and maybe that, you know, they're just slowly guiding Trump down this gauntlet of war. That's kind of what I think is happening. Got some more some more clips here. We watched some of these clips earlier this morning where we covered some of the markets, the news, because these were some big statements, but we'll cover them again real quick.
What exactly are you looking for in these talks, Mr. President?
We're looking for all of the things that we've been talking about. We want to see no nuclear bomb, no nuclear weapon, not even close to it.
See, that's just never going to happen because Iran's deterrence to Israel, Iran's deterrence is their nuclear program. That nuclear program, allowing them to have one, is what basically allows for the deterrence to exist against Israel in particular, because Israel's always bombing them, constantly bombing them. They want Iran and that regime change for the Greater Israel Project. 7 regime changes in under 5 years.
Low key on the missiles. We want to see peace in the Middle East. We want the nuclear dust. We're going to want that, and I think we're going to get that. We've agreed to that. Yeah, we've agreed to that.
You want the enriched uranium before you can end this.
And we want no enrichment, but we also want the enriched uranium. If this happens, it's a great start for Iran to build itself back, and it's everything that we want.
So Iran, Trump is really trying to stick with the narrative that Iran is this broke down nation, but honestly, Iran has its own government. They are a sovereign government. 90 million people. And Google Earth, take out some Google Earth. We'll go on Google Earth right after this. We'll look at the terrain of Tehran, and we'll actually look at, you know, what Iran actually looks like and how much these troops are really what these troops are really getting themselves into here.
And it's also great for Israel, and it's great for the other Middle East.
Oh, isn't that great that it's great for Israel? Thank God that it's great for Israel. Why does that matter?
UAE, Qatar, all of them, Kuwait and Bahrain in particular.
I can understand this being great for Qatar, and I can understand how having a relationship with Qatar is good for America, I guess. But really, it's like, come on.
So it's great for all.
We don't need to be in this war with Iran. It's costing the American taxpayer everything. People are losing everything. They're losing everything. A few more clips here.
Do you believe Israel would abide by that agreement?
Of course not.
I think Israel will be very happy with what we have. We just
no, they won't.
Spoke to Israel a little while ago. I think they'll be very happy. This will be peace for Israel, long-term peace, guaranteed peace. If this happens, and you know I can't guarantee it, but I think it's going to. My life is a deal. That's all I do is deals my whole life. I think
so.
This is something that's
Again,
going to happen. And
really interesting. Trump is basically promising that this will be great for Israel. By the end of all of this would be great for Israel. But what about America? Where do we stand? What do we get out of this? Or is Trump the only one getting something out of this, like the Epstein files not getting released?
Happen. So tomorrow morning sometime, their time, we were expected to blow up their largest electric generating plants that cost over $10 billion to build. It's a very good one. There was no dearth of money. And one shot, it's gone. It collapses. Why would they want that? So they called.
Okay, so that's a threat to the Iranian people right there. That's a threat against their nuclear program. Again, of course, that they're going to bomb under the guides of Israel. They're going to bomb Iran's nuclear program, and because that's what Israel has demanded of the United States is to bomb Iran and their nuclear program.
They want to make a deal. And we
are
very willing to make a deal. It's got to be a good deal.
Iran said they're not making a deal.
No more wars, no more nuclear weapons. They're not going to have nuclear weapons anymore. They're agreeing to that.
They're not agreeing
to
that.
That's
not true.
No deal.
That is not true. In many ways, that should be community noted, because that's not true. Trump is getting us into a war with Iran, and Iran never said that any talks happened. They denied that. Last clip, and then we're going to look at some Google Earth. We're going to look at the terrain of Iran.
Most respected and the leader. You know, it's a little tough. We've wiped out everybody.
Is that the Supreme Leader?
No, not the Supreme Leader. We don't. Well, nobody heard of the second Supreme Leader, the Son.
Are these direct?
We have not heard from the Son. Every once in a while, you'll see a statement made, but we haven't. We don't know if he's living. But the people.
Yeah, as far as we know, Khamenei's son, he was also bombed in a strike and apparently, allegedly had lost his leg and he's in a coma. So that's what we know now.
Seem to be running it, and they seem that based on really fact, because things they've said have taken place.
Mr. President, again. Mr. President,
Yeah, Trump seems like he is fully committed to war with Iran.
Okay, I don't want him to be killed.
Mr. President, you've deployed.
Nobody wants to be that. Nobody wants that job right now. You know, nobody's exactly looking forward to being the head of that particular country. But perhaps we'll be able to solve that problem.
Mr. President, you've deployed.
So yeah, those are big statements from Trump. Now let's go on Google Earth here. I wanted to look at Google Earth. Let's take a look at Google Earth. And let's just see, let's take a look at the terrain. Okay, let's see what we're dealing with here. Because I don't think people really understand just how much danger our troops are actually in. Okay, so we're going to look at the terrain of Iran and just how dangerous this actually is for U.S. troops, for really all of the U.S. military, and what's coming. Okay, we'll see if this actually loads. I'm hoping it does. Using up a lot of data here on the stream, but we're going to try our best. So we'll just type in Iran, make it real simple. Iran. Of course, typos. Ugh, lag. Hold on. Bear with me. There we go. Okay, let's go. What do we find here? This is Iran. Look at how big it is, first of all. It's much bigger than Israel. Here's the Strait of Hormuz where my cursor is at. This is where our soldiers are at right now. They're in this little crevice, this little channel right here. Okay? All of this entire war is basically going to be fought on this Iranian soil, right? So this is what's really the most dangerous part about all of this. The most dangerous part about this is that we are dealing with a complete and total fortress. This is a whole independent nation. This is Iran. Okay? So this is Bahrain. This is where a lot of U.S. military bases are. Qatar. This is where our basically our biggest allies in the Middle East. Here's where they are. This is, Tucker Carlson loves Qatar. You listen to Tucker Carlson, he's a big fan of Qatar. A lot. Candace Owens, they probably get paid by Qatar, right? So Qatar is huge. Huge for journalists in America. We have a big relationship with Qatar, the United States. And then Bahrain, we have military bases here. Okay, what we're looking at right now is the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman and then the Strait of Hormuz, right here where my cursor is. Okay, beyond that is Iran. Okay, so you're looking at Iran, all of this land. Okay, now let's zoom in a little bit. Let's look at these islands. So Trump wants to take basically all of these islands that we're seeing right here. Okay, right in this little channel. And he wants to secure all of these. Okay, so look at what we have to deal with. He wants to secure Karg Island, but this is just one of them. I'm just using this as an example. This one island, this random island here. Everything is a rock here. Everything is just rock. Everything is caves, tunnels. It's about 24 miles at the thinnest point from the Strait of Hormuz. And we want Karg Island. Okay, think about that. Now let's look at this actual terrain of Iran. Okay, let's just look at these little enclaves, these little cities. This is an independent nation. This is where our troops are going to be heading. Okay, this is scary. A lot of different cities here. A lot of communities. A lot of land. A lot of desert. Now, take into consideration that their entire nuclear program is underground. Take a consideration to know that much of their military, they have cities underneath the Iranian dirt. And then we are sending U.S. troops to this land. Note and mention that Iraq and Afghanistan borders Iran. This is dangerous. This is where our troops are being sent to die. This is not going to be a war that we win. 90 million people. This is a lot of land here. Okay, a lot to deal with. This is a lot to bite off for America. And then again, look, Dubai's right there at the Strait of Hormuz. They're getting bombed like crazy. You could kiss all of the tourism goodbye in that area. All the American tourists, nope, that's over. And then we have Israel. This tiny little piece of land here. The Holy Land, as they call it. So this is what's been getting bombed. Let's take a look at Tel Aviv, what's been getting bombed by Iran. And then you look at Gaza. Let's look at the damage done by the state of Israel on Gaza. Okay, these were the Palestinian Arabic people. All right? So let's take a look. And actually, the real Jews. In many ways, you could argue that. Look at this. This is a Google image, basically, showing you the difference in what this looks like today. Oh, great. Of course, we're out of storage. Hold on. Got to clear some stuff up here. Don't you love storage problems? Who else has like massive storage problems all the time? I totally do. I need new stuff. Need new upgrades. Might have to end this stream. But again, look. It's going to be tough to see it. This is pretty much gone. This is Gaza. Again, I'm showing you Gaza to show you the damage that was done here versus in Tel Aviv and Iran. Okay, this is what's been happening for the past couple years while everybody else was asleep. Basically, this is all rubble now. Okay. Okay, everything you're seeing is rubble. You can see the divide. All of this is still civilization. All of this is still Israel and anything else that's like still a city. And then on this side, you can see everything that's been bombed, completely destroyed. And we are supposed to have sympathy for the Israeli people when they've done this to their neighbors of which they have been living with since 1947, the Palestinians. Everything is just pummeled. What they did to their women, the children, they killed them all. And so my question is, will they do this to the United States? Again, this is Gaza. Israel's taking hits now, sure, by Iran. But should we feel bad for Israel when they've done this to an actual people? They've literally genocided a people. Whether or not we agree with Arabic or Muslim traditions and religions, we also understand that there are Christian Muslims and that these Muslims, many Muslims are not of the Hamas, Hezbollah, which was created by Israel. Nope. These were just, a lot of these were Christians, and they were slaughtered like cattle, according to the laws of the Talmud and the Torah. Buildings destroyed, homes destroyed, families destroyed, children raped, kidnapped, trafficked, divided from their families, everything you really saw in World War II. All of the things that the Jews are crying about with World War II and stating that they fear the most of the Holocaust. What are we talking about here? They created a Holocaust. This is the Holocaust. This is the real Holocaust. What the Israeli Jews, the Zionists specifically, what they did to Gaza is what happened in World War II. This is an ethnic cleansing. This is the behavior of the Nazis. This is what happened. And actually, this is much worse because we found out that a lot of that didn't even happen with the Holocaust. When I say that that didn't happen, I say like the 6 million. That 6 million didn't even exist, according to archaeological records now. Gas chambers didn't exist. So now we know that the Nazis have just been basically blamed for having this genocidal history when really maybe it was always the Jews. Maybe it was always the Israeli Zionist people, right? Again, today, Tel Aviv is getting hit by Iran just north of Gaza here, and they're getting hits. So their nuclear facilities are getting hit, all of it. So pretty crazy. This is the war. This is what's going down. A lot of new construction that was being built here. This just got bombed. They had a lot of interesting sites here. But the real point that we need to make is that the double standard is there. The Israeli people do not have to have accountability. They don't have to be held accountable for anything, right? But the Iranians, despite them being bombed first by America and the United States, well, the Iranians unfortunately have to be the bad guys in everything, right? Meanwhile, Europe is pretty much dying, getting flooded by illegal immigration and all of it, right? So it's a very sad thing to see. So what do you guys think about the entire war and what's happening? What do you guys think about all of it? What do you guys think about the Iran war? Do you guys think we will end this war soon? What do you guys think will happen with oil prices? I think we are going to easily exceed $200 oil prices per barrel. I think you're going to see all of that happen. You're going to see a war with Iran continue. Trump is going to basically bow to the state of Israel and continue doing whatever he's told to do. And it's because he's in the Epstein files. If he doesn't obey, then the Epstein files will be released to the full maximum. And Trump will probably be impeached. A Democrat will be placed into office, as they're already going to win the House. And in that case, you're going to see perhaps a revolution at that point. But who knows? We hope for peace. We hope for the truth. We hope for justice. We don't want a 20-year war with Iran. We don't We didn't vote for Trump because we wanted a 20-year war with Iran. We voted for Trump so we could have the American golden age, so we can be the crypto capital of the world. We voted for Trump so we could be America first. So we would have no more politicians who served a foreign government again. So we would have no more, rioters in the streets who were burning down churches, who were causing chaos and disorder and killing innocent people, right? So this is the fight. This is the real battle. And as long as we have presidents who are willing to become occupied and corrupted, paid off or blackmailed, whatever it might be, as long as we have presidents like this, then we will never be truly a free country. And this is the real fight of the next couple centuries, or the next couple decades, I would say. Especially the eighth front, as the Israeli people call it. They say that the eighth front of this war is social media. And having a public opinion, having a voice, and being able to spread the info about these issues, being able to control the narrative. So what do you think is happening? How are you going to control the narrative? And lastly, be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. Again, smash the subscribe button. Trying to grow this channel, give you information. And unfortunately, in 2026, they're killing everybody, right? They're killing all the jobs. They're taking everybody out. And so basically, this is the fight. This is the climb. So support this show, support the info. And with that being said, I'll see you tomorrow. Stay prudent, stay powerful, and stay wealthy.